and having the United States be a leader in crypto. And I think that if that happens, that is going to generally bring a lot more people. I think over the last 4 days, we've had hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, and millions of people onboarded into crypto in a way that no one's ever seen, even with, and outside of even Bitcoin, with this meme coin.
You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
And welcome. You are listening to and watching the Financial Survival Network. I'm your host, Kerry Lutz. Well, I am back from Vancouver, from the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference. Very upbeat crowd, gold, the miners taking off, but nonetheless, the talk of the town was crypto, especially the Trump coin, and then the not to be outdone, the Melania coin. And Dan Novaes is here with us now. You've been on here before, Dan. Meme coins, meme stocks, what is going on here? I mean, right now as we're speaking, Bitcoin is back over $100,000. Is it heading to 10 million? Are we going to have a strategic Bitcoin reserve? And not the least of which, Ross Ulbricht, founder of Silk Road, has been, I don't know if his sentence was commuted or if he was pardoned, but he's out of jail.
Exactly, as of yesterday. I think you and I talked a little bit after the Trump election in November. Since then, we've had just a tremendous amount of things that even I wouldn't anticipate. I didn't think that Trump was going to launch his own meme coin, but, I do think that the administration is signaling how they're going to treat crypto, how they're going to treat AI. And, Trump launching his own meme coin 2 days before his inauguration is a reflection of what the administration has in store for the next 4 years. And so I think that, financial clarity will come to the crypto markets. If you look at, the appointment of who the, new SEC chair is, that is a new crypto task force is being in place. And in the past, the way that Gary Gensler treated this task force was really around enforcement. This one will really be about, hey, here are the guidelines of how this space is going to play. And I think that, Trump and the administration is really focused on creating the United States as a financial leader and haven for crypto companies. And that's where we're going to see this modern day gold rush in crypto and AI. And so I think that's kind of what we're seeing here, Kerry.
Well, I'm going to take it one step further than you. We've heard a lot about the BRICS, more countries joining. Indonesia just joined it, and they're basically their theme is proposing a replacement reserve currency to the dollar. It will be 40% backed in gold. I mean, personally, I don't believe it can work because India hates China. Russia is not happy with China. China's not happy with Russia. And Brazil, their economy has been a joke. I mean, all of these countries, their economies, even though ours has not been stellar, but theirs economies for the past 10 years have been in the gutter. China imploding, all these things. So I think it's an acknowledgement the day of the dollar's dominance is over, but we're going to have a replacement for it that somehow the U.S. will be responsible for, and that will stop an implosion of it's an attempt to stop an implosion of the global economic world order.
Yes. And I think that's why the Bitcoin reserve makes a lot of sense, right? If there's a unified currency across the world, but the U.S. is the first mover in creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve, it somewhat can get us back to the gold standard, right, that we saw in the 70s and so on. So I think that's the thesis behind being able to own 5% of the overall Bitcoin network. And if the U.S. moves, you're going to have other countries that are going to likely move as well. And that will then somewhat still allow the U.S. to take that it moves away from the dollar, but it still impacts the dollar, right? Because the Bitcoin value would still go up. And so I think that that's one of the most interesting things that we're going to see if that actually is going to be implemented. And then the other secondary one is around this concept of not taxing gains on US-based cryptocurrencies. A lot of rumors, a lot of speculation around that. If you see what's happening, there is some merit to this. I don't know if it will happen this year and how it will happen, but you can see that the administration was very focused in bringing the leading companies of the world to the United States and having the United States be a leader in crypto. And I think that if that happens, that is going to generally bring a lot more people. I think over the last 4 days, we've had hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, and millions of people onboarded into crypto in a way that no one's ever seen, even with, and outside of even Bitcoin, with this meme coin, all these Trump supporters that are buying it. So it's been just a really crazy ride, I think, for the crypto markets over the last 2 or 3 months.
And I will direct your attention to the fact that as of January of this year, the U.S. is still holding 213,000 and change Bitcoins that are currently worth around 15 billion.
Yes.
So they've already got the makings of it. I mean, a lot of this, I'm against civil asset forfeiture as a general rule, but a lot of this came from the holdings of the Silk Road marketplace, which means that Ross Ulbricht had $15 billion, which is probably the equivalent of about 50 million when they took it.
Yes.
So we've already got the makings of it. And, my question, Dan, is this, what role does gold play in a crypto-based currency, crypto-based world? Is it just a barbarous relic, or is there a use for it?
You saying gold is in terms of the original asset? I think
hard asset gold, like gold you can hold in your hand and you can bite to determine its authenticity.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily think that gold is going to go anywhere. I mean, if you kind of look at in the boomer generation, the older generation is still very much invested in gold. I mean, gold is an $18 trillion or so market, whereas Bitcoin is maybe sub 2 trillion still. Maybe at this price it's at 2 trillion, but we're talking about 1/10 of the approximate overall market cap of Bitcoin versus gold. And if you think about the growth there of what's possible, I mean, I think that Bitcoin is going to grow substantially faster and more, especially given it's the kind of like the digital version of that gold. If you also think about the millennials, the Gen X, the Gen Z, are they more likely, especially the Gen Zs and millennials that are now going to become, a very large part of the economy, and a lot of that wealth transfer is going to go from boomers into millennials and so on as the generations pass. Are they more likely to buy Bitcoin, or are they more likely to buy gold? I still don't think that the gold is going to go anywhere, but it's not going to have that same growth curve as Bitcoin, right? So I do think that those will be assets that people will continue holding, and I think that you also can look at really interesting stuff. And I think this actually happened after our last conversation, Kerry, in November, where, China struck some huge gold reserve. It was like $800 billion worth of gold or something. And it just kind of came out of nowhere. And so suddenly you have this thing where the supply of gold, the overall market at that time was maybe 18.8 trillion or 19 trillion, whatever it is. And then suddenly someone finds $800 billion worth of gold. So what happens? The price of gold actually goes down because there's more supply. With Bitcoin, that can't happen, right? You have a finite supply of Bitcoin, and it will only be more expensive and harder to mine over time. And so I think that that's also one of the characteristics that you see these ETFs and, the BlackRocks of the world talking about, that just can't happen. You know what I mean? And so I think that those are the how I see both of those playing out in the market in the future, gold versus Bitcoin.
All right. Well, hey, so what's your take on on those coins though? Like instantly, the Trump coin was worth $30 billion. I haven't looked to see what it's going to be now, but what it's trading at now, but pretty shocking. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw when it came out, and within the hour it was, I saw it when it was like $1 or $2, and then it went to like 75 in the next 40 hours after. So I think the way to think about meme coins, I think it's a hard I remember when I first saw the first memes, and I didn't really get it personally. I thought it was just more of a joke. And there is a component of that is true. It's kind of like speculation. But what are you buying when you're buying a meme coin? You're not really buying the utility of the coin. There's not really a utility, but it's sort of like a cult. It's like belonging to something. It's belonging to a club, right?
Like a memento of his victory, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think even if you remove like Trump from the equation, think about the college you went to, like you're loyal to that college, or think about a fraternity you joined, or a club you're a part of, or a brand that you wear. It means that you are a part of something. And I think that that's what meme coins really are. And so people get around that. And I think Trump, he is one of the people that have been able to move such a large amount of people of the nation to back what he's doing. And it makes sense that his Trump meme coin would explode, right? And so I think that that's kind of what you're going to see with these meme coins in the future. And then people are somewhat gambling into these things, the value going up, but it's somewhat of kind of what happens in the trading card market, right? Certain things get hot, then people sell it. And that is what it is, and then people are making their money on that. So it's interesting to see, though, that they launched it, and I think they will provide guidance. And that's going to be one of the most interesting things that we'll see in this market in this coming year.
Yeah. So it's like you could buy a MAGA hat, or you could buy a Trump meme coin.
Yeah.
Why not, right?
One's resellable. It's not. So, yeah.
So when we look forward, when we have this conversation next January, where do you think crypto is going to be? You think it'll be integrated into the U.S. financial system along the current lines that it appears to be starting?
I think that crypto will continue to have an upward momentum. And I think that Bitcoin, I think it will play a larger and larger role. If you look at the appointments that are being made, they are all pro Bitcoin holders or pro crypto holders in general, not just Bitcoin. There's other altcoins that are there as well. And I think that if you haven't still gotten into this market in some capacity where you're diversifying at least, 2 to 5% of your money that you would invest into this asset class, it would be foolish because, the government, if you look at, his meme coin aside, look at World Liberty Financial, right? World Liberty Financial is Trump's DeFi project. It raised hundreds of millions of dollars, but it is a DeFi project. And over the last 3 days, they bought 47. They kind of wanted to make it commemorative to his presidential inauguration. So they bought like $47 million worth of Bitcoin, $4.7 million of all these altcoins, a bunch of ETH. And so, would they be doing that if they didn't think that crypto is going to play a big part in this? So, the signs are all here, and this is like one of those moments in time. What I've been thinking to myself over this past weekend, not only as a founder of a company, but also just being in the space, is what would I wish I had known back in 2017, 2018, when this crypto market was just starting to boom, that I didn't do? And how can I really think about that and how my business is going to be impacted, or how my financial future is going to be impacted in this regime or this, future that we're kind of getting into now?
All right. Well, I think we'll leave it at that, but definitely interesting times ahead. Dan, how do we find you on the web? How do we connect with you?
Yeah, my Twitter is at Navias_AI. You can also check out our company at modemobile.com, doing a lot of stuff in the consumer space and also in the Web3 space for everyday consumers.
Excellent. Appreciate that. Got a question for Dan, myself. Shoot me an email, kl@kerrylutz.com. You'll find a link to Dan's site in the show notes to this interview on financialsurvivalnetwork.com. We just ask while you're there, please sign up for your free newsletter subscription, like 65,000 other FSN members have. Dan, a pleasure. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you so much, Kerry. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.